First of all, it's exciting to be on the other side of the podcast. We generally, me and Vishwa are on that side of the podcast, but it's nice to be on this side.
As many of you know, Zenduty joined forces with Xurrent recently in the last several months. So we thought we'd come together today and talk a little bit about what this partnership means.
Awesome.
Right, that we now are working with alerting and war room software. I don't think I've been in the war room since I joined this company.
Just like we were looking to branch into the service delivery side of things, Xurrent, on the other hand, was trying to build something on the operations management side of things. We're solving the same problem just for two different people.
I think people are going to start gobbling them up. We're talking about things like...
Do you think AI agents will be a big part of Xurrent?
Yeah. You want to say? You want to start? You're last.
Where's they are?
We may just take a question.
Oh yeah. Sorry. You can take that to start.
I think Ankur covered most of it.
You mentioned discussing things over cricket. RCB plays tonight. We're going to go.
I hope we do.
I hope we can.
Why would Xurrent customers be interested in Zenduty?
And coming back to the very first point, right? Why did it make so much sense for us to...
All right, welcome everybody to a very special episode of Incidentally Reliable. I'm Phil Christensen, Chief Product Officer here at Xurrent, and I'm joined by three very special guests. I have Ankur Rawal, the CTO and co-founder of Zenduty. We got Vishwa Kumar, also co-founder of Zenduty, and Madhu Rawat, a CTO at Xurrent. As many of you know, Zenduty joined forces with Xurrent recently in the last several months in a game-changing partnership that's set to transform the way IT and DevOps teams interact amongst each other. So we thought we'd come together today and talk a little bit about what this partnership means, how we're moving forward, what it means for our customers. And we thought we'd spend a little time on ITSM because generally this audience of this podcast is probably a little more on the ops side. So we wanted to spend a little bit of time on the ITSM side and introduce some of the concepts and why we think it is interesting and relevant for the audience of Incidentally Reliable. So with that being said, I think we'll get started. I'm going to try and ask some questions of the group to get the conversation going. And then we're also sort of going to kick it around and just have a conversation about the industry and about what we're trying to do with the products.
Awesome.
All right, so let me kick things off. I'm going to kick it off here with our co-founders, with Ankur and Vishwa, and ask these guys to talk a little bit about the Xurrent-Zenduty partnership and sort of explain in your perspective what motivated it and why you think the products make so much sense together and why you're excited about the collaboration. Maybe start with you, Vishwa?
Yes. Excited to be here. It's a new age for us. It's a new, It's another chapter in the journey of Zenduty. When we looked at the Zenduty journey moving forward, we always knew that we'll have to, at some point, target adjacent markets. And the most natural adjacent market that we would target would be the service operations teams, right? Or service delivery teams. And a lot of times, we have current customers that keep asking us whether we are going to venture in that category, whether we're going to extend Zenduty to build for service management teams as well, right? And that was eventually going to be part of our plan moving forward, but I think it was serendipitous that Xurrent came to us in 2024. And one thing we realized was that Xurrent has a really rich history. It has about almost more than 10 years of working with as one of the leaders in ITSM, especially in the EU markets. It has built a tremendous product and it has delivered a lot of value to service delivery teams. And we thought that this could be a good partnership where we excel in incident management, where we sort of serve the production operations teams. It'll be easier for us to join forces with Xurrent rather than building a product from scratch. Another good part about the partnership was that just like we were looking to branch into the service delivery side of things, Xurrent, on the other hand, was trying to build something on the operations management side of things. So it was just a natural partnership and it made sense.
I like it. Well, you talked a lot about sort of the strategic side and how we come together on the product. Maybe, Ankur, you could take a little bit more on the organizational side. What appealed to you about the...
First of all, it's exciting to be on the other side of the podcast. We generally, me and Vishwa are on that side of podcast, but it's nice to be on this side where we have to answer questions. Yeah, so for us, like Vishwa said, it was more natural that we were always thinking of getting into that space, but we wanted to take Zenduty to a certain level before we start doing that because of the natural inclination towards that industry, right? And we were fortunate that Xurrent, which is already mature and already accepted in the market, we get to work on that. From technology side, I think I love the scale which Xurrent has already achieved, and we are learning from the process in the ITOps side more closely. Like earlier we've only seen ITOps from our customer side, but their use case has been, but their process has been. Now it will be more natural to actually adopt and build integration with Xurrent and Zenduty to work more closely for our customer adoption. That's what we are thinking of. Yeah.
Very nice.
So I have a question, right? So our listeners in this podcast are typically folks who are on the production operations side of things, DevOps, infra, SRE, engineers. So it's largely a very ops crowd, right? Maybe Phil, you can, you've worked in the service management side of things for a very long time. You're building a product recipe of Xurrent. Maybe catch us up on the history of IT service management. Let them.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's interesting. ITSM has been around for a long time, 30 years or more probably, and it has a long history of a lot of different companies and consolidation, et cetera. And one of the things that really appealed to me, back to your guys' answer around the partnership, was how fresh and relevant Zenduty is. You guys have built something in the last 5 years that is exciting, and there's a lot of buzz and interest. It can be a little challenging in the ITSM space to find that same level of sort of energy, just not because it's not innovative software, it is, but it's not necessarily as new. And so you see a lot more understanding of what it is out in the market. You see a lot more, if you look across our competitive cohort, you see a much more consolidation of features. You see a lot of the same capabilities across sort of a cohort of competitors. So I think generally, if we do rewind, what has made Xurrent different and sort of what has helped us to advance in the way we have as an organization is a couple things. I think that given the maturity of the industry, features have consolidated. It's difficult to differentiate. That being said, we have built ourselves. I'd say there's a couple core pillars that I'd call out and sort of been our roots of what's gotten us here. One is, I would say, performance, and performance meaning it's a lightning fast application. Given the age of this industry, this 30 plus years, there's a lot of legacy players in the market. You guys don't have that as much in the alerting space, but we do in ITSM. And due to the fact that you have a lot of legacy tech that's just frankly not as good as it was 20, 30 years ago. We've been cloud native from the beginning. I think that's what's been very appealing to the market about our offering. It is built to be fast. You have sub 300 millisecond response times across the application wherever you are in the world. So it's lightning fast. That's one. I think we also have high security. We were born in Northern Europe where security and privacy are taken very seriously. I think that IT generally has been going back to sort of the history of ITSM. IT is much more the central hub of security and compliance at an organization than perhaps you would see in development teams. So that has always been taken very seriously in our platform. So we have a home for your data. We have the ability to audit and control and help you receive the ISO certifications or whatever other certifications you need as an organization. So security, performance, and then I would also say reliability. And I think that this is probably hopefully near and dear to this audience. And we have an application that's 100% uptime in the last year. We have not fallen over in my year. I've joked with Madhu that I have, I myself, despite that we now are working with alerting and war room software, I don't think I've been in the war room since I joined this company, which is
that's true. Like my experience also coming from Axient, where it is more of a hardware backup company, incidents are always happening. So after I joined, it's been 6 months almost that I am here. I was hardly in a war room 1 or 2 times. But we are 100% uptime. Yeah. that's really commendable from the engineering team perspective or this entire organization perspective, how that was very important for them right from the beginning.
I think that actually maybe if we could keep riffing on that, maybe if you take it a step further, Madhu, and share for us. So I sort of gave that backdrop of a little bit of the ITSM history and a little bit of how we've evolved in that space. Maybe give a little more detail to the crowd about what it is about the underlying architecture that's enabled that.
And also, I think what will also be interesting is why are the other market players so slow, and why is their experience so bad?
I think it all starts with the mindset, the team's mindset. It is not one day or 1 week or 1 month. It's a mindset of the entire engineering organization. We have every developer's mindset. The way we follow the values, what we have from the Xurrent perspective, we are service first, better every day, and teaming. That is what our values are, and that is fully engraved in every person in the organization. So team comes together, and it is not one part of the application which makes it faster, the lightning faster. It's UI, it's the database, it's the infrastructure where we are hosting it. The AWS plays a role as well. We have a lightning fast the internet fiber 400 GB Ethernet, which we rely on. That is definitely there. The CDN, what we host, locally available CDN for all the CSS, HTML, so that the pages load very fast and they are available near to wherever the application is, customer is browsing it from. And we make sure that every database round trips are minimum when it comes to the API to the database. So the round trips are reduced, and we take care of it in every pull request. It's not, it's like drop everything and look into it if the performance goes even a little bit here and there.
It's a very heavy focus on performance.
It is heavy focus on performance. Database one, I talked about the internet connection, and as well as the UI part of it as well plays a big role with the CDN. Of course, Ruby on Rails VR, which is not very performance oriented, but still there are big organizations. GitHub, Shopify is the
Shopify is the biggest one.
Biggest one which uses it with so much of performance. So
even some of the other ITSM players are also there.
That is because the modularization and tight implementation constraints what we have. We don't just write lots and lots of code to implement something. It's very structured code review, very structured way of putting the code in a modules, which is scalable in the long run. That's one part. And of course, our developers are testing focused. So what that means is they not only implement the features, but they take care of the unit testing as well as functional testing. So every PR, you have all the functional tests running with 95% coverage. That also makes product more reliable in the way of availability.
I think I'll add something. I think she added very important part, which actually we forget in these days because we have been privileged to have better internet compared to what we used to have in 15 years back, and also better compute. Like you spoke about focusing on performance, which is commendable, and it is engraved in the principle. Like very small things that you are focusing more on reducing the number of calls to database, and also making sure the CDN serves for better internet also.
OS is also Alpine OS, so it uses minimum CPU and memory. It is available for the application to quickly ramp up.
Let me ask you this: are we as an organization going out for now and forever saying that, or we are just striving to be the fastest ITSM product in the market?
We have built such an awesome platform which is scaling very well. So we want to keep it up. How long we will be there? Well, we would like to be the topmost.
I would say that yes. I think that like I was describing, it's hard to differentiate yourself in this space, and that is absolutely an area where we are recognized in the market. And so I think we have to make sure and focus on our strengths into the future. So I would say yes, we strive to make sure that is always the case with every feature we release. I'd be curious, maybe, part of what appealed when I met you guys back last fall was a lot of what I think Madhu was describing. I also sort of witnessed inside Zenduty, and sort of your guys' focus on building a quality application that was performant and was slick. How does this culture that Madhu's describing, how does it compare and contrast to what you've built, Ankur?
We are a very young company. We are learning from already, as in the new age technology, you can say, the new age process, you can say. We also have engraved some of the legacy principles. For us, the principle which was always there on the reliability side, no matter what, we have to make sure our application stays 100% uptime. That is the only principle which we have followed. But we are happy to actually follow these things. I mean, I'm happy that she will be, when she's leading the engineering team, she'll be able to actually put that into the mindset of our engineers also, and we work together with Xurrent.
I like it. So thanks, Ankur. So let me pivot back to, we talked a little about the companies and the cultures. Let's go back to ITSM and back to sort of what might be interesting about this product and this connection to the audience. And let me go back to you, Vishwa, and ask, so speak to this crowd, these operations teams, maybe DevOps, SREs. Tell them why you think they should take a look at Xurrent, and then after you do that, I'll speak to them and tell them why I think they should look at Xurrent.
I think Xurrent takes care of everything. I mean, for the prod ops users, I think Xurrent takes care of everything post incident, right? So while Zenduty helps you respond to these 7-0, 7-1 scenarios very quickly and get out of that. More often, it's proactive, right? But even if, let's say that Zenduty helps you recover from an incident very quickly, right? That's not the end of the show, right? You need to go back and see exactly what happened, why it happened, and you need to figure out what you need to do as a team, as a company to make sure that this kind of incident does not happen again. That continuous improvement, the loop is finished in Xurrent. So while you manage the incident lifecycle in Zenduty, right, you manage the improvement lifecycle in Xurrent.
Yeah.
Right, so Xurrent has a whole bunch of really powerful capabilities that allows you to track your product, to track specific tasks, very specific goals, and help you improve after sort of close out the postmortem. You can do your postmortem in Xurrent itself. You can provision action items, you can provision tasks, post-incident tasks in Xurrent. You can track all of it with the suite of very powerful workflows, and you can make sure that all of those items are closed within a very specific time frame, right? So you don't want this incident to happen again, and you want to sort of de-risk yourself from a situation like this in a very specific time frame. That you can implement within Xurrent.
I like that.
Yeah, it is very important that incident is closed, the incident doesn't happen again. So running the RCA, getting the action items and working on the action items, which we can support from the Xurrent sites, and closing the loop. It's very difficult for engineering teams or any team who will be using it to follow through those action items and finish it up. That's when we say, okay, this kind of incident will not happen again. So I really like the powerful integration between Zenduty and Xurrent in that sense.
There is another aspect, and I think it'll probably be that at some point the engineering team will get roped into whatever service management solution the company uses, be it Xurrent or anything else that they're using internally. Which is that if there's any kind of incident that does happen, right, it's not just the ops teams that's working on it. The service teams are also involved in those incidents because they are customer facing, right? So the service teams will need to interface with the operations teams, and Xurrent can be the platform,
right,
where ops and service can interface. Ops and service knows exactly what's going on operationally behind the scenes, and they can keep the customers updated, right? And you can manage your services, you can manage your customers a lot more effectively.
Yeah.
Once we have that, once you're using both the solutions together, service teams become a lot more efficient in the long run.
Yeah, I think that really resonates. My experience before I was at Xurrent, I spent time in ecom, and we were talking about war rooms. We spent a lot of time in the war room, and I think we did that because it was a large infrastructure, and a lot of things could go wrong. And there was so much focus on getting into the war room and fixing the problems. Yep. And there was just, you'd finish a war room, you'd high five, and you'd go back to your desk. And there was such little focus on actually improving the underlying infrastructure. Like, you'd take back these post-mortem tasks. Like, it's not like you just ignored them, but they just didn't have the same relevance, the same urgency, the same potency that the rest of the work on your plate did. And I think that idea of evolving past alerting. I know a lot of your customers at Zenduty, they use a lot of the alerting and escalation functionality that's sort of the core of the platform. But there's so much more inside Zenduty in terms of all the RCA work and actually bringing these tasks to people to make the systems better. And I think that's, if I think of the inverse of that question of why would Xurrent customers be interested in Zenduty, I think it's exactly that. We have a group of customers who are very good at the more of the transactional process side of IT, the change management, the migrate a data center or fix everybody's issue new laptops. Like IT teams are very good at this.
Yep.
They're also generally the teams who are dealing with the war room. So I think every one of our IT teams is often in the war room, if not the incident commander themselves.
Yep.
And we want to bring tools to help them to do that, to sort of enable them in the war room, give them some more authority in the war room.
Yep.
And I think Zenduty does that.
As we move to the cloud and SaaS platforms, bigger platform, we are talking about a bigger platform and have multiple teams and the collaboration between those teams, like what Vishwa said, SRE team is involved when incident happens and expecting them to do the customer communication, to go to the status cast. And then, after incident is resolved, they are busy in resolving the incident. They do not have time to take care of all these things. They go to the Zenduty, open the incident, and all integrations between the Zenduty, the status cast, and then postmortem following up with the action items, they don't have time to do that. They are busy with incident resolution. Getting all these teams and these people getting communicated with having a unified platform where things happen automatically, I think it will bring a big value to those people who are really actually focused on incident resolution, but keeping customers informed and then taking the action items from the engineering or whichever team actually takes the action item so that this kind of incident doesn't happen again.
I have a question for Phil. You speak to a lot of CIOs, a lot of service delivery managers day in and day out, right? Why are they unhappy with their existing ITSM products? I mean, speed, a lot of things, right? But what is, like, if you say the top 3 areas where they are looking for a change?
I think there's generally a problem in the industry where you have a lot of capabilities that have been sold and a lot of capabilities that you're paying for inside your software suite that you maybe aren't using.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty problematic in ITSM broadly. And you end up with people who are paying an extraordinary amount of money for a platform and using a very small piece of it. We have customers who are upset with the amount of resources and time and energy it goes to maintaining the platform that they've brought in-house. So oftentimes with some of the bigger players in the space, you have to have people on site forever maintaining and dealing with the actual ITSM infrastructure. That can be very challenging. The cost can be very challenging. I also think that with AI, and one of the topics we wanted to go to, you're seeing more and more automation in ITSM.
Yeah.
And I think you're seeing CIOs who are looking at their practices, which maybe have been in place at the company for 10 years, and thinking, okay, how much of this could be improved? And how can AI help in this space? It happens to be an area where there's a lot of AI out there to help. And so I think we're seeing CIOs recognizing that AI has a role to play in their service desk, and they may or may not be using that in whatever ITSM vendor they have. So I think it's a combination of those things. It's cost, complexity, and then I do think there's just a lot of conversation happening around the impact of AI and making sure to stay relevant with it.
Is it typically a gradual process when a CIO, or is there something need to happen for them to completely reevaluate their ITSM setup?
Well, I think that, again, given the maturity of the industry, you're dealing with a lot of platforms that have gotten very good at replacing each other.
Yeah.
And so when CIOs, when the contract is up after a year or two and they're evaluating, it's not necessarily a year-long project to bring another vendor in the ITSM space. I mean, every vendor wants to get stickier and they want to have more capabilities and make it harder to do that.
Yeah.
but it frankly is, we do an extraordinary amount of competitive replacements pretty rapidly. We can do them in a matter of months.
Yeah.
So I think that it's not particularly difficult to evaluate changes in this space compared to perhaps like an accounting system or something like that. So you do see a lot of that happening.
Since you spoke about AI, what role do you think AI will play in ITSM, and where do you see Xurrent in next 5 years?
Yeah, you want to say? You want to start? You're last.
Where's there?
No, it is hard to say what will happen in next 5 years. It is evolving every other day. Now context based. And recently I was reading through, so AI is evolving every day. Where I would like AI to help is not only improvising on helping finding stuff in the platform and helping them resolve stuff, but bringing the value from learning from the old, what they have resolved already, and surfacing that to them when it comes and saying that this is how you have resolved before. So looks like this is the issue, because we don't learn from the things. Teams change, people change, the way we put the request changes. So learning, AI is intelligent in that sense to go through what has happened in over the years. And this is a legacy product of 10, 15 years of experience with resolving the incidents. So learning from them and saying, this is how you have resolved, this is the solution I am proposing to, so that we don't have to rely on reinventing the same wheel, that this incident has this impact on these things. Because things come from multiple service levels, and it is because of one service which 3 services got impacted.
Yeah.
So that is what I look for in a near future. Not 5 years. I don't know what will happen in 5 years, but near future, that is what I would expect our platform to help with.
Yeah, one of the things that drew me into the ITSM industry, into Xurrent in particular, was that I think there's a lot of AI fatigue generally, especially in larger companies, where I was at an organization that had sort of asked everybody, every director, to figure out how AI was going to have an impact on their department. So there was just a lot of existential, conversations going on that didn't always feel the most productive. It was like, I'm a product manager in my core, and it felt like AI was a lot of solutions in search of problems, which is just sort of the opposite of how I like to do things. And when I came to Xurrent and saw the possibility of the current state of AI and its ability to have practical, real-world impacts immediately, and not hard. You don't need an advanced. Well, you may need an advanced degree to build it, but you don't need an advanced degree to figure it out.
Yeah.
We're talking about things like case summarization and routing to autonomous routing to tier 2 teams, and creation of knowledge articles based upon a chicken scratch series of notes. This is simple, quote unquote, simple stuff that's having a real impact on our customers. And so it was neat to join an industry where it's so actually relevant and not just chatter. And also join a company that was actually investing in making it happen and actually having people that knew how to use it. And in the year I've been here, we've released, I don't know, a half dozen different, maybe more, of different capabilities into the platform. It's been a big part of our roadmap, and I think it's going to be a big part of ITSM in the future.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's kick it back then. What about on the alerting incident management side?
I think diagnostics is hot. For us to give you good diagnostics, the moment that incident gets triggered, our goal is to minimize the MTTR. That is our North Star metric, right? So as part of that, you need to be able to provide solutions to whoever is handling the incident, ASAP. So what we are looking at doing is understanding the customer's services, their entire, production operations better, get a lot more data out of it. We are doing service dependency mappings to understand how different services are dependent on each other, how they link together. Based on that, we'll do a whole bunch of correlations on, whenever something breaks, if it's like a catastrophic incident where there are multiple services impacted, how do you point out to the service which actually, where the root cause actually lies? So analyzing, signals across multiple different services, using AI to figure out exactly where the root cause is, that's one of the problems that we are solving. And that can not just reduce alert noise to a great extent, it can also help you identify those root causes very quickly. And that can dramatically reduce your overall MTTR. So those are, I think that's one of the main, diagnostics is probably the main sort of AI use case that we are doing right now. Another area that we are looking to incorporate AI into is postmortems. So it takes currently hours for an engineering manager to do a postmortem after a major incident. Right? And the reason that it takes so long is because you need to gather a lot of information. You need to reconstruct the timeline of the incident. So using mostly generative AI to basically gather a whole bunch of information around the incident, all the signals, all the communications that happen in Slack or Microsoft Teams, and then summarizing that as a postmortem. So what will typically take a day to do a postmortem, we can sort of compress it to maybe like 15 minutes.
So
for us, I think like Vishwa rightly said that our focus has always been towards reducing MTTR. We have tried that earlier with automation, and now since AI has become so mature, like in our space, everything needs to happen in real time. Incident comes in a P0, P1, you cannot wait for AI to actually run through petabytes of data to actually get you the result. It needs to happen in few seconds, not even minutes. And I think AI is mature enough to actually provide that, and that's why we're trying to focus on diagnostics if we can solve that problem.
It's interesting. MTTR is one of those stats that is a unifier between our organizations as well.
Yeah.
I think it has always been the North Star, the mean time to resolution in ITSM as well. And it's like you guys take it to a whole other level, because ITSM was about, okay, traditionally a ticket comes in, maybe someone has a issue with one of their virtual machines or their laptop. How fast can you help that person? And you're generally often dealing with humans and desks and help desk genius bars and things like this. You guys you're integrating with observability platforms. And you're figuring out there are problems before the human necessarily even knows.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing at the end of the day.
Pretty much. Yeah. And coming back to the very first point, right? Why did it make so much sense for us to align and join? Is because we have this. We focus on the same North Star metric.
Yeah.
Right. Except that the North Star metric for you guys is MTTR on the service delivery side of things.
Right.
And ours is MTTR on the operation side of things. Right. So it's just we're solving the same problem just for two different people.
Yeah. Well, you gave the product perspective on AI. I'm curious from you guys. I talked about security at the beginning being a sort of a pillar for us. How are these two companies doing AI in a responsible way?
I think right now AI with the new LLM models with generative AI, it has come long way that we do not have to actually train our models with all customer data together, right? They are so mature that we only actually just feed in the data which is relevant to the customer. Like in our space, a lot of the company, they may share the same technology stack, but for them, incidents are never similar. For some of the companies, their metrics to actually identify their P0s will be different. For some of them, it will be the database ingestion, which may be a P0 for them. But for them, the others could be the lot of traffic which they are coming in. Like for e-commerce, right? For them, the number of transactions needs to be validated. That's where they would actually focus on, right? So although we cater to the same teams, like we say ops team, but every company define their P0, P1 in different ways. So there was no way that we can feed all the data together to actually generate those models. So, and with the generative AI now, we don't have to really feed in a lot of data to actually train them. We can just feed that particular customer data, which we are doing it very securely, to actually serve our customer what they want to be served for in diagnostics. That's where we are focusing on. And we're getting very good responses in the early feature which we have released on the summarization and the query and the postmortem which Vishwa spoke about. We are getting very impressive results, and the customers who are actually seeing that are actually already wowed, and we are trying to actually expand it to other customers also now.
I think Ankur covered most of it. What is the?
I'm often surprised, maybe surprised isn't the right word, but we get a lot of questions from CISOs, and you deal with a lot of
they do ask, and the secure way what we have achieved is through the LLMs provided by Bedrock, provided by. We don't feed in entire data of all the customers into it. It is customer specific for our own account ID for AWS, where we are sending only the data which we want. Like you're trying to look for the requests which are assigned to you today or tomorrow. So we are just looking at the requests for that customer, for that account. So that kind of guardrails are there where we are not just trying to give every customer's data to the LLM to help us out find the latest one or most appropriate for their queries. That's how we make sure that we don't have a boundaries.
Yeah, I think in our industry, it did not make sense to actually use overlapping data also. Like I said, every company define their P0, P1 differently, although they are using the same stack, depending on their industry or their use cases, what their metrics are. So it never made sense to actually feed all the data. Before the generative AI came in, right? Me and Vishwa wanted to do this long back. Yeah, like when we started Zenduty, we wanted to focus on MTTR. That was the first rule, that we already have people, their companies were already achieve a good MTTA, but no one was focusing on MTTR. That's where Zenduty started. Our focus was always from day zero was to, our base, the V0 was MTTA with a really good MTTA, and then we have to start working on MTTR from day zero for us.
Yep.
You guys might get a kick out of this. I've tried to measure, because there's a lot of interest in the AI space of, what's the ROI? That's like a common question, and you can find all kinds of AI ROI calculators out there on the internet. And so I had the team pull for me, give me the MTTR across all of our customers for those using AI and those not using AI. And I'd say the results are not in yet. I think it's early. I think there's just so many variables. I think that has a bit of an oversimplification, but I think that's the holy grail.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to use it also, right? Like first they will experiment it out. What does it do? What does it do? What does it do? What is it offering? Like virtual agent also. I also played around it. Like you must have also. Now I genuinely use it. Like, what are the tasks assigned to me? I want to do it. But at the beginning, so one-to-one correlation is difficult.
Takes time,
given we are releasing so many features.
I think that's right.
Do you think AI agents will be a big part of Xurrent?
Yeah, in fact, we just released our virtual agent back in January, and we're already seeing strong adoption. And you now have, one of the challenges in the ITSM space. And this goes back to our earlier conversation around the history of it, and it was built oftentimes for a fairly technical crowd for IT teams, and sometimes the language inside ITSMs can be a little bit confusing if you're not have some sort of technical background. We talk about services, we talk about SLAs, we talk about coverage, things like this. Virtual agents give an opportunity to basically leapfrog over any of that. Just tell me what your problem is, and we're able to capture that information and basically navigate all the technical complexity of what's the service, what's the team, who's on call that should be dealing with this. All that just gets jumped right over, and we get it. We use the virtual agent to just really get tasks straight to the team that needs to work on them. So I think that the virtual agent has a huge potential in our customer base, and it's going to continue to sort of change the way ITSM is presented to.
Do you see virtual agents? Do you see virtual agents doing complex tasks, or are they mostly doing simple stuff?
Well, so our virtual agent is again we've tried to anchor all of our AI work in very practical ways. I think that there's a bit of a danger in the AI space of I think of going too broad and trying to get too ambitious. I think that'll come. The focus I push the team on now is to get into it, understand how it works, build practical features that people can use immediately. Yeah. And so we've made our virtual agent do things like it'll tell you if you have a pending question on a ticket that's in your queue. It'll tell you if there's maybe a customer satisfaction survey you haven't filled out yet. It'll give you it'll serve you things immediately. It's not just this sort of, you go to every website now, there's a little bot in the bottom that you can just have a conversation with. We tried to anchor it on real stuff. And then as well as if you ask it a question and you ask it how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it's going to tell you to take a hike. This is not, go to ChatGPT.
Personally, I actually like that use case because a lot of time we are already overwhelmed with a lot of notifications, right? And we tend to serve those notifications when we have time, right? If there is an agent where we can actually go there and ask but it's a pending task for me which needs my attention.
I really use that one in Xurrent.
Very
Like, what
useful.
are the tasks assigned to me today? Like, bell icon is good, but without doing anything, I just ask, it gives me a link, I just go.
Bell icon, I think, gets overwhelming for leadership because they are
Entire development team.
they are part of the whole team, and most of the time it's mostly the information part, not the action part. And finding those actions are like a needle in a haystack for everyone.
Yeah, multiple agents communication is also possible. Like we have to build the orchestration layer. I do see that there is a capability where it could be helpful in the ITSM space if multiple agents we come up with and they are learning from each other and taking the tasks from each other. Is possible given we have multiple products in there, but that is the innovative space we have to get in.
Yeah, I mean, there's an arms race going on with agents, and I think it's like we're trying to keep it grounded, keep it focused on let's build practical tools that can help you today, and recognize that we're not necessarily going to solve the the organizational problem of the fact that you're using Copilot and Gemini and OpenAI, and like how are you going to bring that all together in a unified way? I think the world will figure that out in the next 5 years, but we don't necessarily have to solve that.
Is it 5 years or 1 year?
Yeah.
You don't know whether it will be 5 weeks or 5 months. Right?
Yes, seriously.
It's moving so quickly, isn't it?
You just did so Vishwa just spent time in the US sort of meeting some of the team and getting to know Xurrent a little deeper, and also talking to a lot of Xurrent customers. I'm just curious, you maybe share with the group what early thoughts on, as you talk to Xurrent customers, what are you hearing? What's the reaction to Zenduty?
Excited. Everyone's, they're able to see the potential in adopting Zenduty. A lot of them have, maybe they might be using a different solution, but not really working it's not really addressing their needs. I do believe that our end-to-end approach to incident management is something that's really appealing to all these Xurrent customers. Right, and managing all their self-zeros in Zenduty is something that a lot of customers are looking to do more effectively. A lot of them are in fact investing very heavily in observability as well, right? So it's really great to see that the Xurrent ecosystem has customers that are very, very proactive. They have observability in place and they're looking to sort of get ahead of these issues. And I think Zenduty can add significant value to all of these customers that are looking to prevent self-zero instances from happening in the first place. Yeah. So you see a lot of synergies there.
That's great. Yeah, I've had similar reactions. I think across the board, every customer I talk to that's using Xurrent, and their eyes light up when we explain Zenduty and the fact that we're going to be including Zenduty licenses in our enterprise platform. I think people are going to start gobbling them up.
Looking forward to working with
looking forward to that.
I have one question for Ankur, much more related to the cultural thing in the engineering. Like, I'm super impressed visiting here, meeting such a talented team. One thing I have, one thing that stood out is that it's not one person. Everybody in the organization, in the engineering organization, is not only doing innovative stuff, but thinking ahead. Like, what will I do in next 1 year, 2 year when it comes to the product? So how did you cultivate that culture where every engineer is a founder kind of person? That's very innovative, and that is very difficult to cultivate in an organization of 20 people. So I would like to learn a little bit.
We cannot actually take the credit to ourselves. I think we're fortunate to have found those people who had that in themselves that they wanted to actually contribute. But yes, we will definitely take the credit of creating that environment. I think we were one of the few companies who actually grew in the COVID times when everyone was going remote, and for some reason, me and Vishwa wanted to come to office whenever it was possible. We had office first culture, and we actually maintained that. It was not impossible, but it was difficult to actually build that team. But we are fortunate that we could find like-minded people who also resonate with that. We understood that innovation comes with more collaboration, right? And when we are working closely, you actually see what other person is working on. Most importantly, what our customer needs. A lot of discussions, a lot of innovation actually happens thinking of our customer problems. Since we work in office, all the teams actually work closely. So the customer success, sales, marketing, and our development team works in the same floor. There is a lot of problem sharing which customers are facing. It's like a every day over lunch or over a coffee, over a tea, even after that when we play cricket or badminton.
That's
these are
the talk. Yeah.
That is the talk of those discussions, right? Which has everyone wants to solve their customer problems, and that's where it has been cultivated. Means there's no push from our side, but yes, one culture is there that we wanted to give everyone ownership, that
The belonging they have,
belonging, and they need to take. They can actually work on any piece they want to. It does not have to be what they have been assigned to when they joined in, right? They have the full freedom to actually contribute whatever piece or whatever feature they want to work on. And if that is something a customer will be benefited, we'll definitely go and build it. Yeah. Vishwa may want to add there.
No, I was about to stress on the ownership part as well.
Okay.
You brought it at the end, right? Like everybody owns something. Everybody owns a piece of the product, a piece of the business, actually. Yeah.
When you are understanding customer, you build better products for them because you are building for them.
Correct. It's also you own, you build, you build, you own, you maintain it. Culture here, right? So everyone's responsible for the reliability, performance of their own services in production. So it's I think a shift left culture. Pretty much, yeah.
It's a pretty matured culture. That is what at Xurrent also I like it. You own it, you build it, you own it. It's not like you're building it and giving it to some other team to test it out or some other team to own customer success to take care of it. It's like you own it. Everything you own it. That culture, and that is what I really appreciated Thanks for building such a good culture in the team.
Hey, you mentioned discussing things over cricket. RCB plays tonight. We're going to go.
I hope we go.
I hope we get to play.
I hope we
Predictions. Let's hear some predictions.
So we have to talk to our director.
Who's going to win?
RCB is going to win. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Has to be. Yeah.
But it has to be. I think it's their year.
Home turf.
I think every year is their year, but we sometimes follow job.
Never
I think this year is their year.
This is the year.
They never won, right?
No.
They only want hearts.
Hearts and minds.
At least they're able to sell all the tickets that we are not even able to get the tickets.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for the opportunity to join the podcast. Thanks for hosting us here in Bangalore.
Awesome.
It's been a great trip.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we'll be doing a lot more of this moving forward. I mean, I think probably get updates on product and the partnership. That'll be awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.